and it's titled Reclaiming Our Natural Heritage Through the Wisdom of the Forest and Tree Hugging. We hope and believe that today's seminar is going to be entertaining, enlightening, and is going to um, So I'll be handing over to the chairman of today's occasion, the chairman of today's webinar, and he's going to take over from me, and thereafter I will be back. So I welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to be part of this webinar series. I particularly want to thank the Dean of the Faculty, Professor Bengafashiku, for the invite. And I also want to appreciate the coordinator and the topic before us, reclaiming our natural heritage through the wisdom of the forest and trees. Is going to be an enlightening, seminar where we're going to see the intersection between our natural resources, the climate change, and the lessons we can learn from our forest resources, trees in particular. And I hope it will be able to give us a new perspective on the topic, on the effect of climate change on every one of us, and the way to respond to the problem of climate change as it affects us naturally. I want to thank the discussant of today, Mr. Ife Ogunlowo, who is also going to be doing justice topic after the presentation of the seminar by Mr. John Wangi. The speaker today is a lecturer at the Department of Social Studies. He teaches psychology and philosophy of religion, among other subjects. He has just recently defended his PhD and is awaiting graduation. His research interest focuses on the intersection of religion, philosophy, and the environment, with particular emphasis on indigenous systems. Our distinguished speaker of today, John Iwagi, to have this presentation. Thank you. You'll be speaking for 25 minutes. Mr. John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
Wangi.
you. Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
There were a lot of echoes in between, but now I can hear you clearly. Can I begin to share? Hello? Hello? You can hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us, please?
Yes, yes, I can. Now you are clearer.
Hello, John.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you, though it's breaking. We can hear you, though it's breaking. Good
Oh, you
afternoon.
can. Good afternoon
Alright.
to you. Yes.
John Wangi,
Yes.
John Wangi, you have the floor, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can, I have tried to share. Can you see my shared, you can see my shared screen? Hello.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Chair.
Yeah, your screen is gradually coming.
Oh, it's gradually coming. Okay.
Yeah, we've seen your screen, but we are here to see a presentation, but we can see your screen.
Oh, you can see my screen now. Let me see.
Yeah, you have to bring up your presentation for us to see.
Okay, let me, just a minute.
Yeah, you open your presentation.
Yeah, it's already open.
Yeah, we
my
can see your
presentation.
screen clearly, but you need to open up your presentation. Open up your PowerPoint.
My PowerPoint is open.
Yeah, just, no, we still can't see your PowerPoint. Well, we can see your screen showing. Yeah,
Okay.
we can see now.
Are you able to see my presentation from your
Hey.
side?
No, but it's gone back again, please. Yeah, it has gone back again. We saw it. Yeah, reopen your
Is
PowerPoint,
it clear
please.
now? Is it now clear?
Yes,
It's
very
okay now. You
nice.
can
Yeah, we
see.
can see now. It's
Oh,
okay now.
thank you. Thank you. I want to take this evening to thank all of you and these sites of East
Can
Africa.
you increase your volume?
Okay. And now,
Can
am
you
I
speak
clear?
up the more? Yeah, the volume, so we can hear you very clearly.
Oh, you can hear me very clearly. Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to thank the chair of the Faculty of Arts Seminar Committee. I want also, that's Dr. Isaac. I am also very grateful because of my discussant. I take this opportunity also to thank the Dean of the Department of Arts and also the Dean of the Department of Botany. I am so grateful for the invitation to share with you on what I've captioned reclaiming our natural heritage through the wisdom of the forest and tree hugging. I'm so grateful because of those who have already logged in. I want to recognize Professor Joram Tarusarira of Groningen University in the Netherlands. I am so grateful that I've seen him logged in, and I know others will be logging in even as we continue. We have our topic as I have declared it, and this study was undertaken, just the background, in 2025 among the Rabai people of the Mijikenda of Kenya, who are renowned for their sacred forests, popularly known as the Kaya forests on the coastal Kenya. The Rabai people are known for their reverence for certain species of trees, especially the baobab and the palm trees, amongst others. The palm tree is first amongst the other species because of its elements, which are used in most of their rituals and ceremonies. The study was ethnographic, where interview schedules were administered to about 20 informants in line with the objective of the study. The problem of the statement: although trees, they appear static, their survival and flourishing depend on continuous forms of movements and responsiveness through tropisms, which are growths or responses to environmental stimuli such as light, water, gravity, or even touch, both from human or other elements of nature. And these demonstrate the dynamic interaction with the surrounding environment which sustains life. This principle, that is, of course, the tropisms, offers a powerful metaphor for understanding human emotions and psychological well-being, where emotion, literally speaking, may be understood as energy in motion. However, rapid environmental degradations, urbanization, climate change, and the erosion of the indigenous ecological knowledge are increasingly disrupting the deep relationship between the African communities and their natural environments. As a result, valuable ecological wisdom embedded in cultural traditions and landscapes and lived experiences, they are at a risk of being lost. The study's objective was to safeguard this ecological heritage of connectedness, recognizing it as essential not only for environmental sustainability, but also for psychological resilience and collective well-being. This concern forms the foundation of African environmentalism, which seeks to understand how human flourishing is intertwined with the wisdom for healthy living and regenerative capacities of the natural world. These responsive growths are, as they are known in botany, they are geotropism, that is the response towards the gravity, where the scion, if in an upside down, will definitely find its way up. And the roots, if they are on the other side, they will find their way down. Then we have another movement that is called hydrotropism, that's movement towards water. Phototropism, movement towards the light by the scion and against the light by the roots. Then we have the egotropism, chemotropism, that is towards the chemicals, the chemical stimuli, which is helpful. The objective, the second objective is to investigate what the forest wisdom that which the indigenous communities imbibed from trees, which turns with time to tacit knowledge that was framed by philosophers like David Henry Thoreau as the preservation of the world, which was hidden or embedded in the wilderness. Trees above the ground, when under a storm, they teach us how to bend without breaking. The methodological framework of the study was drawn on two theories. The methodological framework, drawing on two theoretical frameworks, the mental ecology and the place attachment theory. The study leveraged on these lenses to explore how indigenous ecological philosophies can contribute to wisdom for healthy living through contemporary environmental conservation and psychological resilience. I believe I'm clear. Am I still clear? Hello? Hello?
Please go on.
Yeah, go on. We can hear you very well.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have some demos there for the movements of the plant's roots in response to the light. You can see the upper part of the tree is responding there to the light, and it's also responding to the gravity. Then we have another demonstration here of the tree roots responding to the water, drawing nigh. And then we have another demonstration here of trees that are sensitive to touch. And we can see how they formed a very beautiful picture here, where they form a canopy that allows every tree to access some light. They are shy in touching one another. You can see that. Then we have the second level of response, which is very, very interesting. It has been analyzed by one great professor of forestry in Canada. And this is what I want us to look into, where trees communicate to their kin trees. This is a scientific fact. You can see that trees are talking to each other just like humans do talk to each other through an underground network of fungi called mycorrhizal network, where trees share nutrients and they also send chemical signals, almost like a forest network, wood wide web. Very interesting. We will revisit that. The forest wisdom here, which turns out to be the tacit knowledge, can be seen when one visits the Kaya forest, especially where the access protocol of the forest is implemented by the removal of every foreign thing, which involves the shoes, the cape, the mobile phone. I remember our chair, Dr. Isaac, speaking about the spectacles. If one would remove the spectacles, then how will he be able to see the forest and the intrigues that happen? Then I said, if you enter with the spectacles, of course, you'll require some cleansing rituals for the spectacles which are foreign to have been allowed. Then in the access protocol, we have the plucking of a tree leaves and then dropping them on a certain pot. Then there is walking barefooted to connect with the ancestors. Actually, we have some footsteps of the ancestors at the entry, where you must be very careful, because if you miss your step here, you will require a cleansing ritual. Then you have to walk on a straight path as you follow a guide, who is, of course, an elder of this community, without whom it is declared that you can't see the Kaya forest. So what we discover in the forest is that we have these bigger, older trees which share by sending carbon. It has been proven scientifically. They also share minerals with other smaller trees through the mycorrhizal fungal network, and thereby they form one big family in the forest. So we are seeing there is some communication through the mycorrhizal fungal network, where bigger trees, or the mother trees, so to speak, they share with the younger trees what requires to be shared for the healthy growth. They share some carbon, they share some minerals, and we can see that, we can see here the forest wisdom that is hidden from the open eye. And this is the forest wisdom that we require to revamp our healthy living. The prevailing changing environment in terms of degradation and global socio-economic pressure indicate that African communities require to reconnect or revisit and renew their ancient forest wisdom, which they had as tacit knowledge that informed their ecological consciousness and cultural resilience. We have some demos here of trees communicating from the human side through their roots. And we can share it as what has been popularly happening in the Eastern Africa as the handshake, the famous handshake. Then in the second diagram, We have the trees having a sort of a communication, like talking to each other through that touch or the handshake, through the underground fungal networks where they send signals about threats like droughts or pests. When one tree, like the one at the middle, is attacked by some pests, what happens is that it sends signals to the other trees that they are connected with, and they prepare, they set up a defense mechanism. It may be a smell or a thickening of the bark or something like that. Now, we have what we are referring to as the wood wide web, where the wood, where the trees, they have that network where they can share not only what is essential, but they are also able to share, they're also in a position to share when they are in danger, and they are able to raise their protective defense mechanisms. You can have a look at that, which is very fascinating. And this is what we are referring to as the trees connectivity and communication. Further studies have revealed that trees in a forest live as a community, which indicates when one is attacked, and signals are sent to other trees in the family to raise their defense levels to face the attack by commonly producing some foul smell. That's the most common way of raising the defense. The emotion or the energy in motion is the eco psychology that underpins the African philosophy of communal living, which states, this is the Ubuntu philosophy of living, which states that I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. That philosophy of communal living, that we really require it as our heritage in Africa. We need to revisit it. And the connectivity and the communication of the trees underground brings us to that. Now, one of the findings to the study objectives is that while seeking the reality of the forest wisdom that was thriving, I discovered that the reality of the Rabai wisdom, and in general, the African indigenous communities for healthy living, was alive. And the Kaya, one of the Kaya elders, actually the chairman of the elders who take care of the forest, he confessed that the life of the palm tree or trees was like their lives. And if one could cut the palm trees, it could be equated with cutting off their lives. That is how serious they took the lives of the trees above what can be seen and what could not be seen. Now, the ancient and the older trees is what could be referred to here as the mother tree. Beneath the forest, trees are not just surviving on their own. They are communicating, cooperating, and sharing life with the trees around them through vast underground fungal network where chemical signals are released from the mother tree, which communicates with the other trees. A mother tree can support hundreds of young seedlings which are growing by sharing with them the nutrients that they may be having in excess, or sending warnings through what scientists call the wood wide web. They give, when the others are around, they give what they may be having, the mother trees may be having in abundance, when the other trees or the young seedlings may be lacking them. They also take turns thriving even across species. The trees you could see when the younger trees are introduced, it's like the older ones, it's like they stop, they halt their growth for some time to allow the younger ones to grow as they share with them the nutrients that may be required. This is the forest wisdom, which reminds us that thriving isn't always about competition. It can also look like it is not always about competition, and it is more of connectivity, reciprocity and supporting one another, especially when the environments and the seasons are changing. If we adapt a little more of this wisdom found in healthy forests, the world, especially this part of the globe, might become more peaceful, harmonious, and a more inclusive place for everyone. When we look at the trees and what one chancellor of the university, actually it was Covenant University, he was seated with all his professors, and they were documenting a very important concept when he asked them to define life. And they went around defining what life was till he came to a place of giving his simplified version of what life was. And the chancellor of the university, I think that's Dr. David Oyedepo, who is also the founder, he defined life as an art where plants receive the carbon dioxide from the animals and they release the oxygen, which is vital for the animals. And from that art of exchanging carbon dioxide and oxygen, he coined a definition of what life and living was all about. And this is what I was able to decode as filling our lungs from the celebrated lungs of the earth. Those are the trees. And that was the wisdom that the African societies have traditionally remained rooted in their ancestral lands, even when there have been existential threats. Understanding this forest wisdom will help us to live healthy lives in the face of environmental degradation and global socioeconomic pressures, which indicate that African communities require a renewed ecological consciousness for their cultural resilience in their native lands. This research shows that the microbial fungi, which creates those linkages in the tree roots, which help them to identify their kins and to be able to help each other. The trees also exchange carbon and other nutrients with their kin trees, which facilitate their growth. This is the eco-psychology behind the resilience, which explains why and how a race badly enslaved, like Africans, could survive the enslavement and colonization and still thrive in the land of nativity, despite the existential threats like the climate change. We have the Maasai community in Kenya who have vast herds of livestock, and when one meets them, they may confuse them as poor because of their dressing. The Rabai people in the Yakayas can be confused as poor for want of shoes when they are in their sacred forests, but they walk barefooted to connect with the ground for healthy living, where they believe that they connect with their ancestors who are buried there. They also connect with the not yet born, maybe probably through the trees, which they claim they hold life. Trees communicate through this linkage, microbial fungi, to an extent of a kilometer square. The mother tree can do that. It is through this network that a tree locates itself as a cardinal tree that passes on its legacy to its kin trees. In addition to having sent minerals, which may be in excess, and also signals of warning when they are under attack through human or insects and all that. I'm sharing with you a photograph of access to one of the forests, the access protocol, where if you look at the background, you see some people who are accessing the forest. There is a pot and there are some leaves that are being dropped. If you check, they are barefooted. The lady who is accessing the forest has some some spectacles. That means that a ritual will be done for defiling the forest. If you check, we have a photograph here of us under a tree. We are under one of the trees in the Kaya, where you can see at our, those who are photographed here are the Kaya elders. And the third from our left, you can see is Professor Joram Tarusarira, who has logged in. I am the second from the right with the Kaya elders, and we have our chairman there, close to the three ladies that you can see. Final thoughts and conclusion. These adaptive mechanisms of responsiveness of trees within changing environments have been embodied by indigenous communities as their heritage and treasured values that needs to be safeguarded according to one informant. Environmental degradation and global socio-economic pressures, they indicate that African communities require a renewed ecological consciousness and for their cultural resilience. By integrating indigenous ecological knowledge with psychological and philosophical perspectives, the study fills a critical gap in African environmental studies that lacks emotionally grounded conservation approaches that preserve both the tangible and the intangible natural heritage for healthy living. We are almost coming closer to the end. Conventional medicine is seen to recommend patients to natural environments like forests or seaside spaces to facilitate recuperation, which is typically called climatotherapy or sanatorium. And we've also seen that conventional medicine also employs forest bathing, which involves the practice of mindfully immersing oneself into forested environments to lower the stress hormones and promote healthy living, which is becoming very popular nowadays. Now, to wrap up the whole talk this good afternoon, we have the baobab tree, which can be quite wide. And the Rabai indigenous people of Kenya, they believe that the baobab tree, which they also refer to it as the wisdom tree or the tree of life, because of its vast breadth and as a result of its growth after many years, that no one individual alone can embrace its vast width, meaning or being interpreted as no one person or community or race has the monopoly of wisdom for healthy living. But like in trees, it can be conversed or canvassed by connecting and communicating. That's the only way we can have the true wisdom and the complete wisdom for healthy living, and probably I can demonstrate thereby the baobab tree. No one individual can hug it. So it takes several of us to hug that baobab tree, and wisdom is like that baobab tree. No single individual, no single community or race can claim to have a monopoly of the wisdom that is required for healthy living. And that is what I've demonstrated through that photo in the Kaya Kauma forest. So we require one another, and we require even the wisdom of the trees for our healthy living. So as I come to the close of my presentation, I want to register my deep appreciation to the chairman of the Faculty of Arts Seminar Committee, Dr. Isaac, for his support and the invitation. I also want to register my special thanks to our esteemed Dean for the faculty, Professor Fasiku, for his encouragement, of course, for the department to be holding such webinar series, and also the chair of the Department of Botany, Professor Oladipo, Also, my sincere appreciation goes to my discussant, that is Dr. Ogun Lowolo, and also my appreciation goes to the whole faculty in the University of Obafemi, Lowalu University, and all those who keyed in or logged in to attend. And I'm saying, God bless OAU University and God bless Nigeria. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you. Hello? I've come to the end of my presentation.
We sincerely thank you. I hope Dr. Ololude, the chairman, will come up shortly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. John.
Thank you very much too.
Wow, it appears our chair is having a challenge logging in. Let's give him a little more time so that I'm sure we have to invite chairman and the speaker, the discussant, say one or two things concerning the presentation. But it appears they might be having technical challenge.
Yeah, the chair is back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. John Wangi, for your insightful presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair.
I appreciate your wonderful presentation, and I've learned something from your talk. The first is that environmental degradation is disrupting relationship between African communities and the environment.
Yes.
And our communities have wisdom they can learn from the forest.
Yes.
And we need forest wisdom to help revamp our healthy living. Also, I've also learned that forest trees are not just surviving. There is inter-tree communication, supplying nutrients. And this means that our collective survival is based on communication, reciprocity, and supporting one another. So on the strength of this, I really want to thank you. And I want to bring the discussants of today on board. That is Mr. Ife Ogunlowo. Mr. Ife Ogunlowo is a passionate lover of the environment.
Mm-hmm.
He holds a BSc Botany.
Oh, yes.
BSc and MSc Botany of Obafemi Awolowo University.
Oh, yes.
And his core research and professional training span angiosperm, plant conservation, native seed ecological restoration.
Yeah.
So,
I want to call on Mr. Ogunlowo to do for 10 minutes to help discuss the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, my prof, Professor Oladipupo, the chairman. And I want to also recognize the seminar coordinator, Dr. Olodide Isaac, and our Dean, Faculty of Arts, Professor Benga Fashiku. Also in the house, I want to recognize Professor Olami Kanra. Prof, sir, good evening, sir. Professor Adebayo was previously on the call. I want to say good evening, sir. And my HOD is also on the call. That's Dr. Odedinro. Good evening, sir. And my friend, Dr. Jai Semi, and other colleagues on the call. The presenter has done well as far as the topic presented to us this afternoon. And I want to say that this presentation is very timely for us in Africa. We are used to the conservation model of the West, whereby the West sees the forest as a resource to manage, as a carbon sink, and an economic asset. And that has made banditry to thrive in our nation and in other parts of Africa, because everybody sees the place as an economic asset. So everybody wants to go in and pick something. But the presenter has come up with an African philosophy that we should look at and try to, make sure that this African philosophy is not destroyed. In Africa, we see conservation, not just about the timbers, not just about the tree, not just about the resources, but we see it as a living companion. The trees are living companion, just as the rabbi people saw it. They saw the trees as their economic kinsmen, which is integrated into their moral and spiritual fabric. The presenter was telling us about some ritual cleansing that had to be done. And then we have managers of the forest. So the forest is not just in the hand of the government alone, even though that forest is under the Kenya Natural History Museum. And so it's under the government itself. But they allow the community, the owners, to also have an input in the conservation effort that is ongoing. And then the presenter was able to let us know that these trees are living institutions. They are sacred spaces for governance, for education, spirituality, and communal identity. The elders gather under these trees to decide and to give verdicts on matters within the community that are a little bit complex. And not just a place where it is a place they identify with. Therefore, when you now cut down a tree, you cut down a life. So it's not just you going into the forest and exploiting the forest. When you exploit that forest without permission, you are destroying life, you are destroying livelihood. We also see a place of attachment as far as this forest is concerned. And so when policymakers, when they want to make issues about relocation, probably you want to redesign or you want to make use of that space, there is a need to take care of the psychological impacts of that withdrawal of that space upon the people who were originally inhabiting that place. But we see that policymakers today, they ignore the mental ecology and the place of attachment theory when you are talking about infrastructural development and the forest. And the author brilliantly used biological trees responses as a metaphor for human and cultural resilience. You saw him talking about geotropism, phototropism, and the rest. And this is historic for Africa, which has endured slavery, colonization, and yet we remain physically and culturally rooted. We remain strong, still holding on to some of our rich cultural heritages. And then the presenter was able to talk about the contemporary environmental issues, which are emotionally grounded in our conservation approaches, which is a massive academic gap. And the study has tried to fill that part. We cannot protect the tangible environment, the physical trees, the land, without safeguarding the intangible heritage, which is the stories behind those places, the stories behind those sacred groves, behind those sacred, forests. And so the ancestral connection and the eco-psychological intelligence that is attached to it. And then we see the WWW. We talk about WW when you talk about the internet. But here we've been able to learn that WW refers to World Wide Web. And that is referring to the chemical signals that are released from trees, which communicate with each other. And that's an area of research that I am currently embarking on. In science, we call it allelopathy. And what we are trying to do is to try and see how we can get useful chemicals from these trees and then use it to solve the problems of the disease burden and other emerging diseases. And so we have also learned about the tacit knowledge, which were not written down by the custodians, but which research has been able to document for all of us to know. And so for anyone who does not even know the Rabbi people or the Kaya forest, now we know how things are done there and the access protocols that are necessary to access this place. And so I want to say kudos to the presenter, and I urge all of us to ruminate on some of the issues that have been raised. And as we look at these issues, we need to also look at it that these issues does not also erode the area of our belief systems or religions. Because looking at the story of the forest, we discovered that that place was the first known, it has an historical significance of the site for the first Christian mission in Kenya, dating back to 1844. And that was by the Christian Missionary Society, the CMS. So the area of religion is also preserved, while our cultural heritage is also preserved. And then we are able to live in harmony with our environment. The study is very rich and it is interdisciplinary because the presenter is from social sciences and I am from the science, and I'm able to, understand everything he's talking about. And likewise, I believe every other person in the house, we've been able to understand what he's talking about. And so it bridges the gap between climate science, ecological conservation, psychology, and the indigenous African philosophy. So going forward, as we go to the question and answer, I want us to begin to think about how we can manage our forests using our indigenous knowledge systems rather than imbibing the Western culture, which is presently putting us in the problem that we are facing in Africa. Now, what is the cultural significance of our forests? Do traditional ecological knowledge and indigenous belief system protect ancient forests? These are questions we should be asking. And I hope that as we move on to the rapporteuring section and the presenter will be answering our questions, we believe we'll have a much more robust interaction. Thank you very much.
The nice discussion of the topic. We have seen that our own idea of management of our forest resources is quite different from the Western management practices, which is largely economic oriented. And we should learn that trees are a living institution, and the forest should be treated as a place of attachment. And in any attempt to take away our forest resources, we must look at the psychological impact of this activity on the people of the land. So I want to thank you once again for your thoughts, and the floor is now open for questions, possibly new perspectives.
Yes, peradventure you have questions or comments, you can just do well by the raise of hand, virtual raise of hand, or you can also as well do the typing in the chat box. Okay.
There is Olakunle Jayesimi.
Okay.
Yeah, please
so, unmute yourself. Please proceed. Olakunle Jayesimi. Please kindly unmute yourself and please.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, sirs. Good morning, professors. Good morning, the presenter and other attendants. I really appreciate the presentation. And as a background, so I studied pharmacy and pharmacognosy, medicinal plants. My PhD was also in medicinal plants, but I used metabolomics. I've been using metabolomics throughout my research, and I found out the value of this science, this metabolomics, in preserving knowledge, propagating that knowledge, and standardizing our plant biodiversity essentially in Africa. And, I have attended a couple of conferences where I see, the interest of many Africans, of course, and even beyond in preserving these knowledge systems, which is indigenous, and of course, adapting it in different applications for human use. So the question is, how do we intend, or, I'm not sure what's on ground, especially with regards to collaborations between, the custodians of this indigenous knowledge in Africa and scientists in standardizing these plants, and also ensuring that many of them don't go extinct in order for us to be able to derive maximum value from them. So there's something I always say with regards to the current statistics globally. So the global market for herbal medicine is valued at $255 billion. And this is going to increase in the next 9 years to $515 billion. For context, the total GDP of Nigeria, with the oil and all of that, is currently at around $285 billion. So it's not so different from the global market of herbal medicine. And Europe has about 44% of that market, while Nigeria has almost zero, in spite of our plant biodiversity. And maybe because, I've been thinking about it, is it because we have not been addressing this plant biodiversity structurally in considering how do we leverage maximally and globally, this plant biodiversity? Secondly, I know that the federal government of Nigeria is currently interested and have made policies around it to integrate herbal medicine with national health care. How are we leveraging that opportunity, which is currently available in Nigeria, in ensuring that we tap into it? Because if we're going to preserve these indigenous knowledge systems, this plant biodiversity that we have, then we need to connect it immediately to national value. People who need it, they get it. And so we have funds even to sustain it, to sustain whatever efforts are in place. So the question again is, how are we leveraging the plant biodiversity we have with regards to very intentional collaborations between custodians and scientists? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Olakunle Jayesimi, for your contribution, and the questions. I guess if we have any other question or comment, maybe we should take it together so that the speaker and the discussant can attend. Okay, I want to call on Professor Fashiku.
Thank you very much. I want to sincerely appreciate the speaker.
Prof.
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Prof. Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear
Please
you.
go ahead. Please go ahead.
Great. I want to sincerely appreciate the speaker, and in fact also the PowerPoint presentation that he made makes the thing extremely easy to follow and to understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
And also like to thank the discussant, even the brief issues he raised, very germane and very important to the main issue being discussed here. I have two issues. First of all, let me use this opportunity to invite Dr. Olakunle or Professor Olakunle Jayesimi and all our colleagues in Kenya and beyond to our faculty conference that will be holding in August. Faculty conference that will be holding in August. We'll send the flyer to you through the colleague here. You know, I'm sure when he has it, you have it. It's about indigenous knowledge, and you see a number of things that we need to engage there. But that takes me to the point raised by Dr. Jayesimi. You see, we have a whole lot of resources, natural resources endowed in Africa. And I'm believing strongly that the world is also aware. You know, by the world, I mean the imperialists. They are also aware that we are blessed, naturally blessed with resources that are to be used to for existential purposes. And that they also know that there is this connection between us, African, and our environment, connection between us, African, and the resources that surround us, and so on and so forth. And that this connection is spiritual. This connection is spiritual. It's not just ordinary. It's not just biological. It's not just it's natural. It's not just scientific. That it goes beyond, it touches the soul of an African man. And that's why you have African, you know, reminiscing, worshipping, if you like to say, trees, water, ocean, and so on and so forth. However, the untapped connection is between and our health, the ecological resources and our life, ecological resources and our sociology. And now the one that Professor Jayesimi mentioned, ecological resources and our economy. But what we need to do is to now, we want to appreciate the imperialists. They brought education. Yeah. And they brought what they call civilization. And by virtue of civilization, they want to detach. They want to detach us from our environment. They want to detach our spirituality with our ecology. They want to detach our sociology from our ecosystem. And this has been done successfully by introducing religion that now demonizes our forest, demonizes our trees, demonizes our ecology, such that it is difficult, you know, in Yoruba land. We have names that is attached to these ecological personalities. But now religion is detaching us from this ecological relationship. So what Jayesimi is trying to say is that we might need to go back to review the relationship that we have with our ecology. By so doing, we can then turn it around. It will be a source of economy, if you like. It will be a source of our health, if you like. It will be a source of our quote and unquote development. and it will be a source of our quote and unquote civilization. So these are issues that we will still be engaging, and I'm believing strongly that the conference that we are going to hold in August will provide an avenue for scholars to engage this, especially across disciplines. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your thoughts. So I want to ask Mr. Wangi and Ifeoluwa to kindly, address the issues raised from both Dr. Olakunle Jaisimi and okay. We also have somebody written up a hand. Please, Eileen, please can you unmute yourself and kindly take to the floor. Hello?
Good afternoon, sir. I wasn't actually raising up my hand. I was just clapping for the person who just concluded talking, sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, before our speaker will respond, I have a chat from Dr. Samiat Oluwumia Abubakar. And she really appreciates the organizers of this webinar. And our submission is that we in Nigeria should take clues from the Kenyans and the knowledge impacted by discussing to address the ongoing challenges. Thank you so much. Okay, so John can respond now.
Thank you very much, Prof. And I want to appreciate the first observation that was made by Dr. Olakunle, the pharmacist, who appreciates very much the wealth that we have in ethnomedicine, the wealth and the resources that we have in ethnomedicine, and is calling us to cultivate the new perspective. I could hear the cry of his heart is that there should be a coming together of the custodians of the cultural wisdom together with the scientists, and this multidisciplinary perspective should be our new tool to leverage and resolve our problems. So what I was hearing from the great doctor is that there should be a coming together. We should pull together now the wisdom from different quarters and be able to address the challenges that we've been having, because we already have more than enough. For the challenges that we could be facing, the answers are already there. So I've heard him saying that he has a background in pharmacy, and there were some technical terms that will reach out to him outside this conversation so that I may be able to draw into them. And I heard describing about the collaboration. Partly, I am glad that we have already been invited to a forthcoming conference about indigenous knowledge. We can leverage the more on that and probably work on papers in collaboration that can be published on that. And thank you very much, Dean, for inviting us to that conference about the indigenous knowledge. I want to believe that it is part of the cry of the heart by the good doctor that we can collaborate there, beginning by, at the inception, writing our abstracts and then proceeding from there. And then there was the other cry about the standardization. How do we standardize the resources that we have as we extract the solutions to our problems? How do we standardize that? And there have been a conversation about the theories that we've been using and the methodologies that we've been using. They've been so Western-centric, they've been so Eurocentric, and there is a need for us to conceptualize ways that will resolve our problems, shed a lot of information concerning the challenges that we are facing because they are unique to us. And some of them, they have been caused by our colonizers, so to speak. Although they brought in education, they have brought in a lot of challenges that now cannot be resolved by the same methodologies that they could be offering us. Maybe to conclude on that note, I could quote Sir Isaac Newton, I think it must have been Einstein, Albert Einstein, who said that a problem cannot be solved at the same level of thinking as when it was created. And that one will apply to us now as Africans. When we are trying to resolve our own problems, we need another level of thinking. We need a higher level of thinking to be in a position to standardize our solutions to our problems. And that one can only happen when we have a collaboration, the East and the West, like we are having today in this webinar, where the West has invited the East to share. And now we can continue that collaboration and be able to standardize even as we conceptualize our theories and our methodologies to be able to address our problems. I want to believe I've summarized on that. Then probably I also want to react to a good summary that has been brought about by our dean, the good prof. As you are inviting us to that conference that will be taking place in August, you are able to enumerate the interdisciplinary way how we can be able to leverage on the resources that we've been endowed with. And you have been able to bring out very well that we have been so blessed with a lot of resources that are both tangible and intangible. And we can leverage these resources to address our healthcare systems that are breaking down because we are trying to copycat the West. We can also be able to address our economy by looking at the resources that we have, give them the value that will reflect in our own economic zones and our spheres, and also not allow our sociology to be broken down. And maybe I can add to that by quoting Japan. When civilization came to Japan, they resisted their cultures from being dismantled. They embraced civilization, but on the context and on the platform of their culture. And that is why we can see them as a force to reckon with, even with the West. And I react to what our good dean had enumerated, that we are truly endowed with.
John, are you still online?
Sorry? Hello? You can hear me, Dean?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am reacting to the dean's enumeration of how we are greatly endowed by the Creator. And I was reacting to the point of our breaking down sociology, where the Ubuntu had brought us together, that we were no longer thinking as individuals, but collectively as a community, that whatever would affect one affects all of us. I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. Therefore, we should not allow our sociology to be broken down by the Western way of individualistic thinking, but we should be able to respond by holding dearly and recovering and placing a lot of value to our heritage, which recognizes the communal way of living. When we are divided, it's easy for us to be recolonized again, especially mentally. But when we come together, it becomes difficult for our enemies to come and have a second scramble for the resources that we are discovering have remained after their exploitative use. And therefore, we should come together. Especially, I'm looking forward to the conference of the indigenous knowledge that will be forthcoming. I also appreciate the chart that was read to us by the chair, acknowledging what we were sharing today. that's my reaction to the 2 or the 3 respondents to the talk. Thank you. I also want to maybe bring out a very interesting aspect. There is somebody who has logged in. He's called Goodheart. I met him at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. I was en route to Brussels, Belgium, and he was coming back from Kenya, coming back to Nigeria, and he kept his word that he will log in to this great platform of ideas exchange. Thank you very much, Mr. Goodheart. Back to you, Chair.
I hope the chair would come on board as quickly as possible. It appears they might be having.
Hello.
Okay, please go ahead.
Our discussants can now, quickly, take to the floor.
I hope the chair would come on board as quickly as possible.
Okay.
It appears they might be having.
Hello.
Okay, please go ahead.
Can now,
Okay, thank you, my chairman. Let me quickly respond to some of the issues that have been raised.
Hello,
Number one.
discussant, please go ahead.
please go ahead.
All right, sir. Now, let me quickly react very briefly because I'm also conscious of time.
Please, make it brief.
Now, are we ready for collaboration? The answer is yes. The custodians, are they ready for collaboration? The answer is yes. But then there is a plea. The custodians are saying, we will give you everything we know. We will tell you everything we know. But please, when you make your scientific discovery, can you please come back to us?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And then tell us how better to use what we already have. But a situation whereby we go and meet the custodians of knowledge, we interact with them, we take everything they have, we publish, we get promoted, and we don't go back. And so you now see a kind of betrayal. I am very close to the custodians by the virtue of my work. I'm in pharmacognosy, and I do a lot of ethnobotanical research. Most times when I go to the herbalists, I go to the herb sellers, I have a leverage because of some of my mentors, because of some of my professors who have worked with them and have kept their word. One of them is Professor Anthony Elujoba. He worked with them, he kept his word. So most times when I go back and I say, I am from pharmacognosy, do you know so-and-so person? They will say, yes, we know him. We worked with him for some time and all of that. And so it gave me a leverage. And so the advice is that those of us who are working with the custodians, let us keep our words. Let's not just get information and publish. When we publish, let us recognize them. And then we should always find a way to go back. During our conferences in the Nigerian Society of Pharmacognosy, we also extend fellowship to them. We invite them for a pre-conference. So they will also sit with us, not just as academics, they sit with us as custodians. And then we do a pre-conference session with them. We tell them best practices, WHO standards, how to engage in safety issues and all of that. And they appreciate us. They have organizations. We can reach out to them through the Complementary and Traditional Medicine Association Board. And that is very important. Now, how do we prevent extinctions? Yes, we are doing a lot of work on that. We have medicinal plant gardens. We have botanical gardens. And these are rich cultural and institutional heritages. And all of us must also safeguard what we have. Many years ago, a part of the botanical garden was to be used for construction in Obafemi Awolowo University. Some persons, some of our professors, they rose up and they challenged it. And the vice chancellor that time had to, mellow down on that. Instead of destroying a very vast portion, a concession was reached, and then a small portion was given. Now we are in the wake of infrastructural development, which is beautiful. This person is donating to the university, that person is donating, which is fine. But I hope we will not lose some things in the process. There are places that are earmarked in the university master plan, which should be kept too, not coveting places that are used for teaching and research and which have a long history with us. Obafemi Awolowo University, for example, has a lot of Milicia Essesa. That's the Iroko tree. But the question is this: in the next 10 years, how many Iroko trees will be standing on the campus of Obafemi Awolowo University? For those of us who know Road 1 very well in OAU, Road 1 had a lot of Acalypha wickesiana, this Jacob's coat leaf. In front of Access Bank, we had a lot of them, but all of a sudden they disappeared. Now, the wife of the president gave the university 1 billion naira for for physical development and all that. These plants are now being reintroduced, but somebody removed them at some point and replaced them with palms, ornamental palms. So there must be institutional policy for conservation, and which must be adhered to. Then as regards demonizing our ecology, this is an issue that we need to address. And thank God Prof has rightly talked about it. I am working with the Institute of Education, and we also engage proprietors, teachers, and stakeholders, because if the teacher teaches in school that bitter leaf is evil, that child doesn't need any other person to tell him or her what else is right. The child will go with that notion that bitter leaf is bad, bitter leaf is evil. And so we must begin to tell our teachers, must begin to talk to our proprietors. They can have small gardens of herbs in their schools and then do demonstration. There was a school that invited pharmacognosy at the time. They called it Cultural Day. And what did we do? We displayed many of the plants that we use in our house, and then we begin to tell them their medicinal uses. Take, for example, Ewero, which is Amatococcus danieli. It's very good for diabetes, and we use it for wrapping our foods. But these are we need to keep discussing. The next thing is, or the question is this: can we be repaired? The answer is yes, and it's a collective effort. We need to keep engaging. Thank God the conference will be coming up in August. The Department of Pharmacognosy is also planning an African Traditional Medicine Day. We will send out the call in due course. My HOD is on the call, and we will keep talking about this. We will keep engaging, and we believe that the more we talk about it and we take action, we'll have a better place. And regarding the thought shared by our colleague from Unilorin, that's Dr. Abubakar. Yes, we need to go the way of the Kenyans. Our forests should be co-owned by the natives, by the locals, by the people in that environment. It should not just be a government abandoned reserve or a government abandoned area that has not become an avenue of banditry and all kinds of vices. We need to imbibe the Kenyan method. And I believe if we do, it's going to help us and solve some of our challenges as a country and as a continent. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ife Oguno. Please, I want to quickly bring on respected Professor Adebayo Olamikora. He's been raising up his hand. Prof, please, Prof, you have the floor, please.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me very well. This has been a very interesting discussion. But I think we should think in terms of management of our forests. In the first place, I hear the last speaker was talking about the custodians of the knowledge of traditional knowledge of plants and so on. And I begin to think, who are these people? Are they still alive? Are they still active? When I got a PhD 50 years ago, I was very, very eager to go out and learn from people. And you can imagine that 50 years ago, there was still a sizable number of people who had traditional knowledge. Now, those 50 years have flown by. When I look back now, have they gone? And I can also ask, all those so-called custodians, where are they? I can assure you that most of them are dead. And we have to start from scratch, almost, because we have not managed to tie them to local knowledge, not just of trees, but all other things. And I ask, who are the people who are now going into the forest to learn about the forest? Where are the people who can give us knowledge in 50 years' time? Most of the educational institutions, I don't think any of them will take their students into the forest. I don't think any of them is bothered too much about teaching ecology. I don't think so many of them are bothered about the sociology of the forest around us. And I'm surprised that nobody has talked so far about the disappearance of those forests and the consequences of that disappearance, which is why I'm talking now about managing the forest, what we have left, and how we can increase their importance to all the interactions that go on within the society. And consequences, we already feel the consequences. Every rainy season, roofs are blown off all around all these big urban centers. Why is that? A long time ago, maybe up to a century, before we began to demonize our forests, or because we had demonized our forests, a lot of trees around our urban centers have been cut down. And so the windshield which they formed in those days no longer exists, which is why every rainy season brings about tales of woe about houses that have been destroyed by the wind because the forests have not been managed appropriately, not in terms of giving us foreign exchange or whatever exchange or money in our pockets, but in conservation of the environment. That environment must serve us ad infinitum. We cannot put a date on on when we can no longer depend on forests. Forests should be there. Forests should be maintained. In fact, made to grow as an organic institution, as something that is part of what we have in terms of even our culture. You talk about, the last speaker was talking about the loss of trees from OAU. That's a tragedy because the trees are not being placed. I know that we had a department that was interested in reforestation, but activities of that department has now ceased. It was being managed by Professor Faluyi. That has stopped, and I feel that in order for us to engage properly with nature, we have to talk about maintaining our trees and increasing local knowledge of this of our forests, so that they can be there protecting us for the longest foreseeable future. Thank you.
Maybe, Chair, I can add something to that. Somebody at the chat has given a very interesting concept about Malaysia, where instead of removing the natural forests and you do your building, you build around the forest, you build around the trees. A very interesting concept. Instead of cutting down the trees for the road, we should move the road and then have the trees as part of aesthetics and the other aspects. And that is a very good way of management. That it's in the chat. Somebody has spoken about the Malaysian concept of conservation, where you build around the tree. Build our houses around the tree, we build our forests around the tree, instead of cutting them away and then replanting the trees later. And I also want to appreciate that we have somebody from the National Museum, the Museums of Kenya. She's called Goretti, Maria Goretti. They are the ones who are in charge of those forests, and I appreciate that I've seen her logged in. Thank you. That's my reaction. Thank you.
It appears our host, the chairman and our okay, they are back.
I'm back. Yes, I'm back now. Okay, so I want to appreciate Professor Adebayo Olamikanra for his thoughts. I want to recognize Dr. Olakunle and Faith Adeniran. Please, you have 1 minute for your intervention. We have run out of time.
Yes, thank you very much, sirs. I find it.
Please, can you mute yourself in 1 minute on your intervention?
Thank you very much, sir.
Go on, Prof.
No. You can go on, sir. I'm a graduate student. You can go
on. Okay, thank you very much, sir. I wanted to, it would be impossible for me to have Professor Olamikanra here and not really appreciate him, because my going to Brazil for my PhD was not behind him. He was very instrumental in that, and I'm very appreciative. I've said that before, and I will continue to say that. And all of the things at length, particularly metabolomics, which I consider capable of saving the world, is something I am bringing back to Nigeria, to Africa, and specifically Nigeria, through a project that I call the African Metabolome Project. Because a lot of people may not want to take interest in some of these efforts regarding the preservation of our biodiversity, maybe also because they do not have immediate information as to the benefits or the importance of these plants. So the African Metabolome Project is simply a project to sample some of these plants, many of them, and then document what they contain, the comprehensive chemical compounds that are in these plants. And with that alone, and then we put it in a database where it will be open access. People can access it and say, oh, Dongoyaro, what does it contain comprehensively? Ewuro, what does it contain? All these are our trees. What do they contain? Now, the advantage of that is sometimes, maybe in future, Ewuro goes into extinction. Maybe goes into extinction. We have a database that already documented the chemical composition of Ewuro. And therefore, we can potentially look for alternative plants that contain similar compounds that are in ewuro, even if we have to combine two plants to represent ewuro, so that with that we can recapitulate the reality of ewuro in future, just in case it goes extinct. You know, we have a stamp of what ewuro had contained in the past. You know, so that's the effort that I'm on in bringing it back to Africa. And of course, I'm open to, you know, potential collaborations in this area, you know, to ensure that it succeeds. And I've been in Nigeria recently. I've been speaking with some government persons and all of that. And we currently even have a plan to go as a delegate to go to Brazil to meet with Fiocruz, which is a research and development unit in Brazil, which already has an MOU with Nigeria regarding supporting traditional medicine in Nigeria. You know, so I wanted to mention that importantly to appreciate Professor Lami Konra for his effort in ensuring that I have this knowledge and capacity.
Thank you, Dr. Olakunle. I can conversation when you came to our department a couple of weeks ago at Bothing Department. We really want to collaborate with you on that. So quickly, in 1 minute, I want to give the floor. I didn't know. In 1 minute, we are short of time.
Yes, sir.
Wait, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I even actually just lowered my hand because the last comment has handled what I was thinking loud on. But I appreciate all the noble professors who have spoken largely on the topic. And the line of thought that I thought about mentioning has been the advocacy part, which is a town-gown advocacy drive that could ensure some of these intellectual concerns, which are practical for the movement and the development of our world, our communities, are translated into government policies that can really make this work on the ground beyond just the university system. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
So I want to appreciate everyone who are being part of this seminar. I want to appreciate the speaker, John Wangi, our discussant, Ifeoglunowo. I want to also appreciate the Dean of Faculty of Art, Professor Gbenga Fashiku, for the invite, and everyone. Sustainably, conserve our environment so that we can, benefit maximally from it. And the need for us to have a clear departure from the Western style of conservation, which is largely, with a view to exploiting the environment. So I'll quickly hand it to Dr. Oludide, the coordinator for the seminar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you very much once again for today. I want to, on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Gbenga Fashiku, I want to really express apologies for the little technical challenges we had at the please, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so I want to apologize for the little technical hitches and glitches we had at the beginning of the seminar. Yeah, it's raining over here heavily, and so we had some weather and network challenges. I want to apologize for that. That was why we started a little bit behind schedule. I want to tender an unreserved apology. So thank you very much to our speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Kenya, I really appreciate your time and all what you've devoted to this presentation.
Thank you.
All the way from East Africa down here to West Africa. It's been a very enlightening and insightful session. As you can see from the comments, the discussion that has really come along with this presentation. Thank you for obliging us Let me also appreciate our discussant, Ife Ogunlowo, for obliging us also to be the discussant. It's within a few days I gave the notice and you obliged to be the discussant. Thank you very much. And to
Thank
all professors, distinguished professors that has connected, Professor Lami Conrad, the immediate past dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Niyo Okoye, thank you for connecting. The head of department, pharmacognosy, Dr. Dediron, thank you very much for connecting. And all other faculty members, distinguished academics, connected from all over the world, from Kenya to Belgium to Nigeria, thank you very much indeed. I cannot but appreciate the chairman of today's seminar, Professor of Repute, the head of the Department of Botany, Professor Ladipo. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your commitment to ensuring this webinar went very well and very fine. To all the participants, thank you very much once again. And to our amiable Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Professor Gbenga Fashiku, he has provided this platform for this seminar. Thank you very much. Well, finally, before we end, the Dean already informed us about the forthcoming Faculty of Arts conference coming up in August. I want to especially once again remind us and to invite everyone. We look forward. It's going to be hybrid, so both virtual and physical participation. So we look forward to having participants from all over the globe. The next in the faculty webinar series will be coming up this same time, next month, July. So let's look forward to that. And it promises to be another exciting and another interesting academic engagement. So on behalf of the Arts, let me say thank you very much indeed. Dean, Faculty of Arts, would you like to say a closing words?
No, you've done actually well. I'm not sure there's any more thing to say. Thank everyone. The flyer and information on the forthcoming conference will be sent across all our platforms. What you have not done, maybe I should do more, is to thank John Wangi, our speaker, to thank him very much for his excellent presentation. We are so grateful to have you. And then we would also like you to develop your paper for possible publication in our journal. We have Journal of Odu. We call it Odu, Journal of West African, Journal of West Africa. So please submit your paper to the journal. And also would like to thank Goretti, which we were informed is in charge of our of the Kenyan preservation in Kenya. We want to thank her for being part of this program and many others who joined across the globe. We want to say appreciate you. We Dr. Ife Ogunfodowole has done excellently well. What I will ask him to do more is to come close to the Faculty of Arts to get more collaborators so that we'll be able to do more. And so between the, and I'm also appreciating Dr. Jaisimi. In fact, he is inspiring area of research is one that I also want him to look at the humanities for collaborators, not just scientific, there must be, because you need to, apart from the things that you know about the metabolical and what we refer to as metabolomics of there is also taxonomic aspect that you also need to look at, because the name that we give to these plants also have implication about the materials in it. Each of these names has a name, and each of these leaves and and plants, they have names, rooted into our culture, rooted into our sociology, and you speak to the names, and the names we to the leaf, mentioning the name, we call it, and it will answer you. So it's very wonderful. So, Dr. Jaisimi, thank you very much. I also like to thank one special professor I'm seeing here, Professor Talusaria Sarira. I want to thank Prof who joined us from Europe to be part of this webinar. So thank you very much, Prof. And thank for everyone. We can't be mentioning every name, but we want to thank all our senior professor, Professor Adibayo Lamikonra, wonderful scholar, Baba of grandpa of professors, Professor Kende Ayola, we thank you. Our former dean who was with us, we thank you. But finally, before we close, let me thank our chairman of today, Professor Oladipupo. We want to thank you. He's the head of the Department of Botany at Obafemi Awolowo University, a distinguished scholar of repute, and who has to excuse himself from the conference that he was attending in order to share this webinar. We want to thank you. And finally, from me, I also want to thank the Obafemi Awolowo University Central Office of Research that provided the Zoom link and supported this webinar with all the resources at the Central Office of Research. Thank you very much. See you again next month.
Thank you very much.
Olodude, over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. Once again, we appreciate your time. And we hope that when next we call on you, when next we send out the call for the next faculty webinar series, we hope you will do well to connect so we can have very robust academic engagement. So from my hand, from the Faculty of Art Seminar Committee, we say thank you very much and let's have a wonderful night. Thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
It's been a great experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.